Here we are back at the hive. We're using our social distancing rule, and we're going to talk to Mike about the inside of the hive today. So this is all about the care and keeping of a hive from the perspective of the beekeeper. We're going to cover some of the things we covered in the second grade class about drones and queens and workers. So here's Mike at his hive.
And it's got frames in it that are beginning to collect honey. The bees have brought in nectar and they're beginning to cap the honey. Then they'll go and put a thin layer of beeswax over that, and that's storing then the honey. You know, it ought to be pointed out that bees are not really doing this for us, they're doing it for them. They want to be able to survive to get through the winter. Let's explain that I'm going to open up a hive on the right. It's the one that's got the queen. It's also the top box, and that's as far as we're going to go today. And it's got frames in it that are beginning to collect honey. The bees have brought in nectar and they're beginning to cap the honey. And it's interesting, what they want to do is the honey, the nectar that they bring in has got water in it. So they want to reduce the amount of water. And they want to bring the percentage of water down to about 18%. And they have a way of doing that. It takes a team effort, and they pass the nectar back and forth between each bee. And that has a fashion of really helping reduce the amount of water. And once they are satisfied that the water content is down to 18%, and make it through the winter time. So besides just the nectar, they're also bringing in pollen, storing, they need to have that. They'll bring in a little water, not that they store it here, but they just need it for their own personal needs. And they'll also bring in, interestingly, I was just reading recently, that the thing that they might want to bring is salt. Salt is important to all living animals, humans, and apparently it might be for bees as well. So let's take a look at I'm going to smoke down, let them know that I'm coming. This may quiet them down a little bit so they won't be as aggressive. This is the beekeeper's tool, probably the most important tool. This is the inner cover. And I'll smoke that down a little bit. Already they're beginning to react. Use the beekeeper's tool and I'll pry it. This is almost glued to the box below. And bees use propolis. Another item that they'll bring back to the hive is resins from trees. And they convert this resins over to propolis, which acts as a little glue that fills in the cracks and so forth. Even that propolis is kind of gluing the frames together to the box. This top box is known as the honey super. It's a size depth of what we call a medium, and the honey super is where I collect the honey. They're also putting honey down below, but I leave that for the bees. So this is what I'll eventually collect and begin to harvest. Two sides to a frame. This is a medium-sized frame. You'll notice this side is 100% honey. It's been nectar, water's been removed, and they've capped it over with beeswax. The opposite side is just about half.
So is the glistening the water?
The glistening in there is really the nectar.
Oh.
Yeah. I wouldn't harvest this yet until both sides look like this one.
Uh-huh.
So the bees you see up here are worker bees. The three castes of the bees, you know. Of course, it's the queen bee, and she'll live for maybe 3 years. She can sting, but that's not really her intent to go out and sting other bees. It may be a rival that happens to be in the hive. She may sting the rival.
Now, a rival would be another queen? Or
Another
potential?
queen, perhaps. Maybe her successor. The other one is a male, and that's known as the drone. The drones do not sting. The drones don't do anything. They do absolutely nothing except fertilize the queen when she's a virgin queen and has just come out of her cell. So she'll go find an area where there are lots of drones and look for be fertilized, and then return back to the hive as a young queen beginning to lay eggs. The drone is fed. Everything, all of his earthly needs are taken care of by the rest of the workers. Give him water, they give him food, and for all of his benefits that he gets, he's killed at the end of the year.
How many drones would be in your hive?
Well, there might be about 10% of all the bees in here might be drones. And they have a distinctive cell that you can see, you know, what's going to be a drone emerging or not. It's the worker bee, though, that life expectancy is less than maybe 4 or 5 weeks. 5 weeks, particularly in the springtime when they're hustling back and forth doing their foraging. And the bees in the wintertime will probably last a little bit longer, several more weeks. So they're simply because the queen is not laying as many eggs or doing any replacements, and there's less flying going on. Another note back to the queen is she is utterly dependent upon other worker bees to do likewise, to feed her and to keep her groomed and so forth. So the bees up here that you find are really the forager bees. Bees start off when they first start born, and they become what's known as nurse bees. After they clean up their cell, they help take care of the other bees, preparing them for going into the pupa stage, larvae stage, and so forth. And then they might become guard bees and stand out front and protect. And then they might become foragers, and they do that within their lifetime of 4 or 5 weeks.
How do they get those decisions made in the hive? It's not like they...
Apparently it's a natural succession of duties that seemingly follow. And of course, after they're a nurse bee, somebody else pushes them aside and says, I'm the nurse bee, and you got to go up front now.
Huh?
It's a good question. I don't know how they make those decisions. Okay, we'll put it back up again.
Okay.
Smoker's about smoked out.
Because it has less oxygen for them to breathe?
Well, there's probably several purposes. The smoker has a way of masking pheromones that the bees emit. That's another way that bees have a way of communicating besides the dance that we talked about and so forth. They may emit different scents, the queen as well, and so this is a way of masking it. But it's another way too of just distracting them and calming them down so that they won't be such a nuisance to a beekeeper.
We're going to observe our 6-foot rule, even though Mike's all dressed up, the elbow bump sort of. We're fully masked, and I certainly appreciate all your information. It's been fantastic. We've learned so much. Thank you so much.
Well, it was my delight.
And we hope that you have a great week. And Grandfather Science says so long.
Thank you.